Indeed, Thursday is the new Friday right here on Good Morning Kenya. This is Entertainment Thursday, and my name is Mike. Before we get into the entertainment part, I want us to focus on something very important. It touches on young people, and this is in regards to using sports for diplomacy. Because remember that the youths are increasingly becoming part of the political conversation, part of what happens within governance, and also when it comes to peace. What is their role? And also, sports diplomacy, can it achieve measurable outcomes where other efforts have failed? And for that conversation in studio, I'm joined by Daniel Juma Omondi, who from the African Regional Representative Global Peace Foundation. Karibu sana.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing this morning?
We are doing great.
Yes.
It's amazing to be here again after the New Year.
Yes. Yeah. And also Joy Gita, who is a lawyer, peace practitioner, and consultant. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Very excited to be here and to have this conversation.
Karibu sana, and thank you for making time.
Thank you.
Also Simon Mikanipare, who is the Executive Director, Sunrays Foundation. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's get into it. You see, sports and diplomacy. First of all, we need to understand where these two converge. And I'll start with you from your perspective. First of all, why use sports for diplomacy? And secondly, where does sports and diplomacy converge?
Thank you. Basically, you know, diplomacy is about, you know, engagement with the people or states to states and all that. And so sport is very, very critical because then it enables the young people to engage in diplomacy. But the difference is that this time they're not in ties. You know, the diplomacy that you know is when we have diplomats in ties, engaging in all that. But sports basically gives these, you know, the youth an opportunity to be able to engage with others. And if you look at it, especially when it comes to peace and something what we call sports for peace, you find that you know, sports has a unique ability to diffuse tensions. You know, even let's say we have warring parties. Even if you look at, for example, you know, when you have World Cups, you know, you have countries that have not been seeing eye to eye. For example, North Korea, South Korea, you know, sometimes we look, there's an Olympic where they were coming to play together. So what this does is that it brings the people together, and you know, we are able to basically ignore our differences. For example, right now, if you look at politics, for example, in America today, you have a very deep division between the Republicans and the Democrats. You know, but now when Team USA is playing with Team Iran or Team whatever, you find the Americans come together, irrespective of their differences in parties, to be able to do that. And we've also seen it in Kenya.
Yes.
You know, when we have our gallant athletes who always make us proud, you know, when we have our political issues here at home, but when, you know, our athletes win golds, that time you see, you know, the Kenyan people are able to carry the flags and talk about Kenya. And so that sports is, I think, especially for Kenya, it has a unique ability, you know, to improve the perception of Kenya as a country, you know, to diffuse tension, you know, whether it's ethnic, tribal, you know, or even political party, you know. So it's one of the most important, you know, tools that we can be able to use. You know, because again, it's a mobilizing factor.
Yeah.
With sports, you can bring many young people together to cheer, to watch, and to do all stuff like that. Yeah.
It transcends everything.
Absolutely.
So you to become universal. Gili, I want to know from you, you know, for some reason or to some extent, youth are seen as beneficiaries of peace. But then again, why should they be seen now as leaders of peace, champions of peace?
Thank you very much. I think we are at a time, especially if you look at, let's start with the African population. Majority of African population is actually us, the youth, right? And so it becomes imperative that we actually, very important that we actually involve the majority when it comes to conversations around peace. Now, what has been happening is that, especially with the conversations around inclusion, when you talk about having the young people included in important conversations in diplomacy, in peace, in governance, it's mostly unfortunately been used as, we're just included as a token. So you find like a panel of, so to say, the old, and then now you have maybe 1 or 2 young people to decorate the...
to be seen.
Yes, just to be seen as a token, you know, of inclusion. But now we are looking at, these are the majority, meaning that the policies, every decision that we make greatly affects the young people. And so then it becomes so important that we have these conversations, and not just to have them give their experiences as young people.
Yes.
They are young people who are experts in different things. And so including them is not meaningful inclusion. Let me just talk about it in that sense. Meaningful inclusion is not just talking about them as having them sit at the table. It's having them co-create the solutions, discuss the issues, you know, define even the problem, because they are the ones closest to the problem, and so they are the ones also closest to the solution. So defining the problem, discussing the issue, coming up with the solutions, you know. And so including the young people is really, it's not a conversation we can afford to have missing. And if you look at as much as we have the young people who are the majority, if you look at our governance structures, who are the majority? You know, we call it African math, you know. So I think it's really a high time that we change that. There's a lot of conversations that have started. There's a lot that is being done to have us included, but especially in the conversation around peace, having them included in those from at local level, at national level, at regional level, and at international level. Yeah.
And that is achievable through doing the things that they like. And sports happen to be one of the things that attract lots of youths. And from your perspective, Simon, does empowering them through sports to foster peace create measurable outcomes?
Thank you very much. Creating that measurable outcome, yes, through sports, because sports creates the platform for the youth to come together and also to practice their talents, and also to share the ideas together. Because in sports, when young people or youth have conversation around who was playing match, who scored this, that kind of conversation give them that the aspects of even first of all knowing how to talk to each other. Sport is something that you cannot be around discussion and you don't talk.
Yes.
You have to defend a side. And through that, you find that, oh, this young man can talk very well.
Yes.
But when there's no sports, then you find it's very quiet. So I think that creates a room also for young people to know their ability of conversation among themselves. So this argument can continue, and you will find that they're able to, if one person is across the other area, they're able to connect just because they were friends during the sports. Yeah.
So it's like sports just presents a platform and creates a ripple effect of other things that can open up even opportunities for the youth.
Exactly, you can do that.
Daniel, when you look at matters to do with empowering the youths, and even sports has been used, and also education opportunities, how do you see that even enhancing the development of leadership qualities when it comes to young people, now that we are talking matters to do with fostering peace through sports diplomacy?
Yeah, so at the Global Peace Foundation, we are big on transforming education.
Yes.
And in transforming education, yeah, we are looking at education not just as, look at the outcome of education, not just in the A's or B's that you get, but we are saying that education should be able to produce a total child. A total child. Number one, this child should be a child, of course, that is intelligent, is able to have those good grades that you're talking about. But again, we're looking at here relational outcome, how can this child be able to relate with other people? And you see in sports also you build that. When they're playing with others, he's able to relate with other people. But also we're also looking at the aspect of moral and spiritual. Where we're saying we want children of good character, children who respect elders, children who are able to basically behave well as human beings. But the most important thing, the one again, another aspect, I've given you three, but the most important is something called the vitality and physical vitality. So when you take a child to school, that doesn't make sense whether he comes back with good grades, but he is, for example, obese. He's obese, and then maybe he was not taught how to eat well. Maybe there's no PE. Maybe he's not playing sports, and then now this young man become predisposed to, for example, diseases, lifestyle diseases. And so we think sport has a unique ability to help raise these young people. In other countries, like for example Japan, when children come to class, I think for the first initial years, you'll find them cleaning the classroom just to instill discipline. They're playing with each other, they're playing sports. And you see in those countries, that's where you find them doing taekwondo, martial arts, so that, because when you do martial arts, you learn how to defend yourself. But again, it gives you the discipline, because sports has rules.
Yeah.
When you are strong, you learn, even when you are provoked, you learn to basically restrain yourself, because if I beat this person with the skills that I have, this is like a walking how do you call it? A walking arm, a walking machine. So if you use it to just beat people, then you can be able to even kill someone. So when you have learned, for example, martial arts, it gives you the restraint, the discipline, and you're able to just use it maybe to defend yourself or to defend other people. So again, it gives you the confidence. When you're walking in the street, you're walking with confidence, knowing that nobody can just mess up with you. So there's a kind of confidence that sports gives young people, helps you to have leadership skills, and gives you the discipline that you need to relate with other people, and also gives you the strength to be able to protect others. But most importantly, also, gives you the health. Right now, government is spending a lot of money. You hear we're talking about SHA all the time, But then we are not even talking about the preventive aspects. For me, if I was in government today, I would focus on preventive aspects. For example, if you're in estates, make sure every estate has a gym. People need to wake up and walk, The human body was made to walk. That's why we have legs. But you see now, when cars came, we're going into cars and, driving to the office, and then we're not even watching what we eat. And then that gives, the rise of lifestyle diseases. And if you go to hospitals today, this is the majority. You find people going for massages. And yet, if you just go to the gym and work out well, or just play football, you will get rid of all those diseases. So I think we have a very unique opportunity here. And I think now with the government coming up with these sports opportunities, Talanta Stadium being built, we need to see government spending more on stadiums. We need to see government spending more, for example, on walkways, whereby people can walk, they can jog. Sometimes even in this country, sometimes when you can't even have, when you're riding your bike, you have to look behind because, a car can easily come. So government needs to spend on walkways, on pathways where people can ride and be able to do that. So there's a unique opportunity to utilize sports to build a healthy nation and make our country great.
From what Daniel is saying, Wakili, I think it also touches on mastering self first. You master yourself in terms of how you're going to relate with others. Once you do that, you are able to go out there and maybe lead, get into sports, and even foster peace. So from that aspect, is it possible that youth can achieve this with dedicated support, not only from government, also from the private sector?
Definitely. first of all, one of the pillars of the Youth Peace and Security Agenda is actually partnerships. And when we talk about partnerships, we're looking at partnerships across the different sectors. So for a long time, peace has been something that has just been dedicated to governments. You know, it's been a responsibility that has just been left to governments. But when we look at the grand scheme of things, when there is lack of peace, everyone is affected. The young people, the older people, men, women, everyone in community, children. You also have private sector affected, civil society organizations. And so when you talk about support from all these different factions, you find that, as my senior said, that you have young people very dedicated to sports. Today, every other Saturday, there is a run in Nairobi, there is a hike. I mean, it's becoming a culture, an active culture where people want to engage. And you find that a lot of people who sponsor these events are actually private sector, which is something that I think that just needs to be brought to their attention, that they're actually investing in peace. Because when we come together, I don't care where you're from. I'm not looking at your tribe, I'm not looking at your political affiliation. We are basically coming together for this particular activity because it's something that we enjoy. If it's a hike, it's we're going to hike, say, Mount Longonot or whatever. So we are coming together to do something good. And so it's very nice to see. I think it's just the awareness that is not there. It's very nice to see that private sector, you have, for example, say a company that is selling soft drinks or whatever would come in and sponsor such an event. For them, it looks commercial. However, it's something they're really investing in. It's long-term peace, you know? And I think that's one of the things, the best way to build peace is by making investments like that, investing in opportunities where young people are able to come and build relationships, where young people are able to go beyond their different affiliations or their different identities and come together for common good. It's also an opportunity to have, say, for example, if you have, I'll give an example of an event that I recently attended. This was in Diani last year, the Zero Plastics Festival that was held by one of the organizations we used to work with as Amani called Samba Sports Youth Initiative. So, you know, in the coastal region, there's a lot of young people who, some of them are affected by drugs. There's a lot of, you know, challenges around that. And so looking at that, so that event combined aspects of education. It combined aspects of peace building and aspects of environmental care. So it started with the young people going to collect the plastics along the beach, and then we came together and now had like a sports tournament, and thereafter there were sessions for education. Now let me give you an example of how different members of society contributed. Yes. So you have the civil society bringing together the young people of those communities. Then you also have the private sector investing in sponsoring the event. We had from airlines, we had the manufacturing industry there. All those people were there. We also had government present, right? And of course the young people. And we also had civil society and institutions of higher learning coming to now do the education on, for example, environmental care. And so this is an example that some of these events just need that partnership, and that is the real peace building in action. So peace building is not done in the boardrooms. It's not done at the United Nations. I mean, that's very nice and fancy, but it has to start on the ground using these activities and seeking all these different partnerships of everyone. Because as I said, when peace is lacking, none of us can actually function. Yeah.
Nothing actually will go on.
Nothing will go on.
But then again, Simon, I have this question. Can sports diplomacy succeed where politics have failed? Political dialogue has failed?
Yeah, actually, sports diplomacy is a supplementary way where the political dialogue has failed. Because we normally say there are very many roads to Rome. You can fly in any airport. The final destination is Rome. So when you find that the political dialogue has failed, use another opportunity, use another avenue. How do you bring these people to understand the meaning of peace? Actually, young people, the youth, the peace and unity comes in a way that when there's a sports, though these three factors all come to meet. You can find yourself that somebody you don't know, you've never been close to, at sports point is next to you or she's next to you. And when you are cheering the same team, and you can find yourself hugging each other from nowhere. You know, if it's politically, you can say, okay, this is from opposition, this is from the ruling government. You can find yourself hugging an opposition because the sponsor has made you to hug yourself. And the peace begins from there. If I've hugged this person, why should I fight him? Why should I argue with him? So sports can bring quite a number of good things together that we can use to change the narratives where political ambition has failed, actually.
Do you think the youth using sports diplomacy shifts their mindset in terms of how they look at even leadership? Does it change the mindset, and how does it?
It does. It does very well. A very quick example. Just a few days ago, we had our brother from Senegal. It's called Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane did something very simple, calling back his colleagues to the pitch and telling them to slow down. Just that. If you've been a violent person and you do that, you become a hero. It does not take you to do PhD to call people. That's something we call soft skill. What he did. And today you hear him everywhere in the world being praised, being said he is a peacemaker, he is an icon, you know. And the good thing about sports, they use like naming themselves the players. They have their role models. I'm Ronaldo, I'm Messi, I'm Sadio Mane, I'm Drogba, and so on and so forth. You find that the behavior of that particular person is this young person. If he behaves very well, we had a very good guest for Anelka from France. Anelka could go to pitch and play without any complaint. And I do admire him. So I want to be like Anelka. Because that kind of, you know, how first of all, before you go to that level, you need to put an impact the life of young people. So footballers or youth who play football and sports diplomacy programs can create a very big impact in the mindset of the young people, that it can shift very far. Actually, it can also bring them together and avoid them doing criminal things. It can keep them busy, and you find that you can also create a small club within that kind of territory that can make their mindset change into the peaceful and unity situation.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We're talking about sports diplomacy, leadership, and sports for diplomacy. Sorry about that. Leadership for sports diplomacy. Right here on Good Morning Kenya. We're continuing this conversation after this short break. Thanks for staying with us right here on Good Morning Kenya. This is KBC Channel 1. We are talking matters to do with youth for peace and unity. And Daniel, from your perspective, if you look at sports diplomacy and even matters that apply to leadership and promoting peace, have we fully harnessed that power of sports diplomacy?
I don't think we have. I don't think we have. But I think we are on the learning. We are basically learning, and right now you have to give it to this particular administration. I think when this administration came to power, I think that's when now football, we started seeing some winnings in football.
Yeah.
So we had Kenya almost coming to the finals. Was it AFCON?
Chan.
Sorry, Chan.
Yes.
And Kenyans were excited once more about football. Because football is about bringing people together and having people to spend on that. That's how you make money. You see, Kenyans, we do a lot of, there are so many Man U, Arsenal supporters.
Yes.
We're supporting an English club, yet we have an opportunity, of course, to also you know, create the passion, the fanaticism for sports locally. And that's why I love it sometimes when, of course, we have local, you know, football, sometimes Gor Mahia playing, you know, with, you know, FC Leopards and all that. So we need to get this fanaticism, because then that's when we can have sports paying. Yeah, so I know there's still an opportunity to be able to do this. More investments in sports, I think, is necessary. I think we have that, how do you call it, the sports, you know, the financing, you know, part of sports. You know, if we are able to get that rolling, so that we can be able to ensure that many of the sports that we have is actually financed. And also there's so many other things. You know, you had, for example, this guy who does javelin. He just learned javelin on YouTube.
Yes.
Yet we are not focusing on that. We have just been doing athletics. Kenya is known for athletics, but there's so much that can be done, you know, in terms of even basketball. If you go to the universities, you find very many good basketball players. You know, we have, if you go to the Olympics, there's so many sports, you know, opportunities that we can actually be able to utilize. But we haven't done that, and I think there is an opportunity to be able to do more with regards to that.
Yeah. If we are to build resilient and purpose-driven youth who are active contributors, especially to peace building, from your perspective, what must we do? Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. The first thing I'll say is that the young people are purposeful. We already have it. I think what is lacking is the opportunities, right? The opportunities to showcase what we can actually do, the opportunities to participate in, you know, planning for a lot of these things. And like he said, we really need to have a lot of investment poured into the young people to be able to create some of these things. There's so many ideas. I recently came across a hub, an innovation hub, where they've innovated different systems around peace building, where they use dialogue systems using tech and everything. And one of the things that was raised is that we have these great ideas, we have these great platforms, but the investment going into it is not enough, you know? And I know governments are constantly saying, oh, we don't have resources for this. But let me shock you, something I read recently about, there's the Global Peace Index. The amount of money that is being poured into like militarization, if even just 1% of it is used to invest in youth, it would change the landscape when it comes to peace building. Just 1% of those trillions of dollars that is spent in war, in conflict, if that is reinvested back into the young people, there'll be a huge difference. You know, it comes from like, you know, sponsoring events. It comes from investing in these innovation hubs, right? And looking at different ways to just harness that great resource. So just back to even what you asked me earlier, we don't want to look at the young people as beneficiaries, but as contributors.
Yes.
As contributors, right? And promoting the young people does not necessarily mean that we sideline the older people. It's an opportunity to work across the different generations, right? And sports is actually able to bring those different generations even in one space, as opposed to, for example, having a dialogue, say on like, say Twitter, but which is okay, but you need like now sports to soften the ground for some of these things to take place. So for young people to thrive, because they already have what it takes, it requires investment of resources, it requires opportunities, and also an investment is not just throwing money, no. It's investing in even opportunities for the young people to advance themselves. It's investing in opportunities for the young people to empower themselves economically, you know? as I said, peace is not just political.
Yeah.
There's a lot of economics that goes into it. Where you have a population that is highly unemployed, the likelihood of not having peace is very high. So investing in the young people also means giving those opportunities. So all these things are literally intertwined when it comes to building a peaceful society. So I think it's time for us to move from theory to action, where we have like actual figures, people saying that this is what we've invested. And this is for governments, this is for private sector, this is for civil society, and the young people themselves. As I said, we are very ready. Yeah.
You know, yeah, and you know, Simon, sports diplomacy is like, it's also similar to sports development. And how do you see this enhancing their skills, especially when it comes to community engagement and even addressing matters to do with gender equality?
Yeah, actually, to begin with, thank you for that good question, Mr. Mike. To begin with gender equality, these days we have even ladies club. We have girls who play football. And I think it's something that's very much inclusive into the community, and and they're addressing it very well. From the perspective of leadership, and also from the perspective of diplomacy through sports, you find that balancing this is really bringing impact very much. And the sport being used as a tool for bringing peace and unity is also something that we both see. Nowadays we find people having, every morning they go to jog, they go and they have some running around. You find that at least they've given time for it. And if, as my Wakili was saying, if this is put attention to, you will find that we have more solution to our own problems, even domestic problems, even development in the community, challenges, the political arenas, challenges. So through this kind of gender balancing, you'll find that everybody's participating. We don't need to leave some other group outside when it comes to peace, or when it comes to unity. So everybody must be included to feel the part of decision making. Yeah.
An all-inclusive
Yes,
approach.
exactly.
Daniel, you have been involved in steering the implementation of education and youth empowerment programs to address challenges of the 21st century and provide innovative solutions.
Yeah.
So sports is one of the things, among the things that interest the youth. Why does it hold so much potential?
Yeah, because, you know, sports has, like I said earlier, I don't know whether I mentioned it already, but, you know, every sport has its own rules. And you see, what happens in life, sometimes we don't want to play by the rules. You know, look at our politics. You know, sometimes we don't want to play by the rules.
Yeah.
We want to rig votes. We want to, you know, I was watching an election in a neighboring country where some people were just ticking ballots and whatever. You can't do that in sports.
Yeah.
It's clear, you know, because it's either you win or you lose.
Yes.
You know, if it is athletics, we will see, everyone will see who is winning. So it's not possible to rig that. You understand? And so every sport has its role, whether it's football, you know, you are not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do, if you do this, it's foul. You can't, you know, if you, whatever there, it's a penalty and all that. So then it teaches these young people the discipline, that life is about rules. You know, you cannot play with your rules. You have to observe, you know, common rules for you to succeed. And so I think this is one of the most important things that sport does to, especially in leadership, because it teaches us to be disciplined. It teaches us to play by the rules. It teaches us the issues of governance. You know, look at even boxing. In boxing, you're not supposed to box certain parts, right? You're not supposed to, you know, box below the belt, for example. You're not supposed to do that. And at the end of the day, you realize. Also, it teaches guys to have some kind of magnanimity. Like, for example, if I win, you find that the footballers, when they're playing, even after they win, you find them hugging each other. They exchange T-shirts.
Yeah.
You understand? And they're hugging each other. Where is that in sports? Where is that in politics? In politics, you lose an election, it's like life and death.
Yeah.
You start telling your supporters to rise up. My votes have been stolen. You know, go get machetes, let's go for them. You understand? You don't find that in sport. So I think, you know, we have an opportunity to utilize sports, to learn basically how do we raise a civilized nation, a civilized society. You know, and so that is what really makes me happy about sports. Yeah.
There's a lot of connection between sports and leadership from what he has said, because there's matters of whatever he said, even self-control and getting into meaningful leadership. But do many youth recognize that fact, that sports may be an avenue to meaningful leadership? It doesn't have to be that high-level leadership, but meaningful leadership.
That's a very good question, Mike, and I think we don't realize what we are doing in terms of even when we go into like during like Chan, you know, we are there with our wristbands, yay, Kenya and everything, but I think it's something that we do. We know we are getting excited, we are there to support our teams, but I don't think we have unlocked that this can actually be a meaningful avenue for us to actually engage with each other, engage with also the current, you know, the leadership that is there. And I think it's an untapped resource, both from government side to us as citizens. I think we don't quite see the full scope of the value that, for example, what a sport can actually do to bring us together. So I think it's a highly untapped value, and also looking at drawing the connection between how sports and leadership works. Although something that I'll say, for example, and I said that especially Nairobi is becoming highly active even on weekends with activities. And a lot of people are now connecting the aspects of discipline to a sport. You know, you find that if somebody is engaged in a sport or going to the gym or something, you find that they are connecting that their life is actually turning out to be they are more disciplined in life. So there is people who are drawing the connection, but I think it's generally an untapped area, because I'm seeing like constantly we are talking about that, for example, our leadership and the young people are not having a conversation, right? But are we utilizing some of these platforms to actually have those conversations, such that after like a match like that, can we actually have a candid conversation about what is happening in the nation? What are some of the things that we see are a challenge? What are some of the things that we can improve? And how do we work together, you know? And how do we bring together the different, you know, members of society to work on some of these things? So highly untapped resource.
Simon, you know, such sports initiatives, especially that involve the youth, in a way that fosters peace. But then again, what would you say are the biggest limitations to such initiatives?
Thank you, Mike. Let me pick it up from where Wakili has just stopped, and my colleague, Daniel. Actually, leadership and the sports is actually what now Sunrise is doing. In the next few days, we are having young people for sports, but we give them skills of leadership first. We have put it that we created sport as a platform for them to achieve. This is all what they focus on. But before that, actually yesterday night I was communicating to the team who are coming to Nairobi. Next week they'll be here on Monday. I was telling them, they were asking me, is there anything apart from just coming to play they will benefit from? I told them to relax. And we have quite a number of things. Sports is just like a plate, whereby in that plate you have varieties. You know, like Ethiopian food, you know, what we call mixed dish.
Yes.
You have varieties of sauces, you know. You come over to Nairobi, and you will feel the taste of the sports. Because before they play in the evening hours, in the morning we have some sessions. We have mentorship program, career guidance, we have environmental program for them, we have peace building programs for them, we have leadership programs for them, and by the end of the day, then you go to the pitch. So the sport is what they look at, but before you reach there, there's
a build-up.
Exactly. So that's the connection here. So before they go, as they wait for the football time to come, there's leadership skill being pumped into them. When they get back to their various countries where they come from, they will have been loaded very well. Now they will make a decision, either to remain as a footballer or to become as a farmer, because they've never understood the importance of becoming a farmer or taking care of their environment. So I think this is something that Sunrise Foundation is connecting now, leadership and sports, and we do it lively. So that's something that which we see it can really bring a very good impact.
So you have been involved in such events.
Exactly.
What can you say has been the impact of such?
Yeah, the impact of such has been seen across Africa. We have successfully got some young people who have been in an area whereby they've lost hope, and we bring them first into football environment, and from the football environment we identify the talents or the skills they belong to, which group, because others can use football as a hiding venue, because just football, you play, they see you playing in the pitch, they cheer you up, you feel comfortable, but that's not the end. What else can you be useful for? And we have quite a number of testimonies across Africa, especially East Africa, from our beneficiaries, and we are trying to bring them up. At this level, the others we are bringing up for the first time to Nairobi. They've never been here. And the exposure itself is something which is going to be a big changeover for the young people who will be coming for this tournament.
When is the tournament happening?
The tournament will be starting on 27th. The reporting day will be 26th, and then from 27th to 31st will be the actual days for the program.
How many countries?
We have 6 countries, the East African countries actually, and Ethiopia is coming, a very good neighbor, who are aspiring to become an East African country as well.
Yes.
So they'll be arriving here on Monday morning. Yeah.
All right. Daniel, you know, sports and development, they are kind of intertwined.
Yeah.
Because sports will thrive and bring up about development. But then again, how can the youth now tap on this and ensure that even as they are looking forward to the sports aspect, there's some aspect of development, maybe even within the community or even self-development? Yes.
Yeah, it's very critical. So sports can lead to development. For example, when we have a tournament, when a tournament like what we have next week, or when we have AFCON or CHAN, or look at Olympics. America is going to be hosting the World Cup.
Yes.
With Mexico, and Canada, and you see they're vigorously bidding for it. Even when I think some people are suggesting that it should not be going to America because of the visa restrictions. You see, they're saying, no, we will be able to avail visas for the sports people. Because sports, it's a lot of, when you bring people together, people will spend money. They spend money on food, on board, accommodation, and so it leads to, actually development. When you have a big stadium like Talanta that is coming, when we have the tournaments being played, that is the development. And sports in big, where, for example, where football is big. Football is a big business.
Yes.
It's a big business. Look at all the names, the Beckhams of today. Those are people who have really made it. They have used sports to be able to develop themselves and to be able to develop their communities. And also in areas, and that's one of the reasons also why I think there's an opportunity for government to develop facilities. Like one of the things that I'm saying is that if only government can be able to ensure that every ward or every village or every estate has a playground and ensure that those playgrounds, if you go to some of these, and I'm happy that we want to go to Singapore.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to Singapore or Japan or those countries, the first world countries, you'll find that every residential area has a very well-equipped playground. You know, the playground where people can play basketball, they can play, you know, tennis, they can play, you know, and this just alone, you know, they're very well managed by the local government. And so I leave my house and I just go there. And practice. And so it's an opportunity to develop these, you know, this infrastructure. And also, like I said, self-development, you know. If you play sports, you know, basically you basically benefit your body, you benefit your health, you activate your mind. You know my point? When you wake up in the morning, first thing you do is do some sports, whether it is working out in the house or you go to the gym. By the time you're leaving the gym, you're going to the office, already your mind is active. You know, if you're going to school, you are able to actually read and understand, or you are able to innovate an idea, you are able to be very productive in the office. But if we don't do this, you find that many people are losing it. You know, we are spending a lot of time going to hospitals, we are spending a lot of money, you know, on medical bills. The big pharma actually wants you to be sick so that they can make money. You know, big pharma doesn't. I was discussing with a friend of mine that I don't. The big pharma is not interested in preventive. You know, because then where will they spend money? Right now, if you go to the U.S. now, they have come up with something called Ozempic, the weight loss drugs. You know, and this is a lot of money. But you know, weight loss, you can lose weight by just sports, just waking up and walk. You know, wake up and walk, do something. Leave the car sometimes. Sometimes I park my, you know, when I come to town and my office in Upper Hill, sometimes I tell my driver, you know, drop me in the town, and I walk from town to the office. Yes. So these things are able to help you actually be able to benefit your body, because this body of ours, if you don't take good care of it, you know, basically you die, and when you die, that's it. That's the end. Yeah.
In the interest of time, I want to give you each a minute to give your closing remarks, but the closing remarks is based on this question. What do you see as the future of sports diplomacy and unity for peace? Let me start with you, Akili.
Thank you. So I think the future that I see is that every stakeholder or every member of society will view sports as an avenue to bring people together from different generations, different tribes, different cultural backgrounds, different professions, not just to play the sport, of course, but also to discuss issues that are integral to our society, right? Issues that are important for our development. And I see an opportunity where each and every person will take up responsibility when it comes to peace building, right? That it will no longer be something that is for certain people, for government, for security, law enforcement officers, for the United Nations, but it will be something for everyone to carry. And so that's really the future that I see, and an opportunity for young people to lead, young people to make money, because that's very important. And contribute meaningfully to society and our own development.
Thank you.
Simon. Thank you, Mike. It's very important that people give a listening ear to sports and invest. This could be something that we see it simple, but it can be very much impactful in the society, beginning with us as persons, and it goes out there. So giving attention to that will create a lot of avenues for quite a number of our dreams to come to pass, not to be overlooked. and the right people to actually pioneer this or to spearhead this at the youth. If it is peace, if it is development, if it is business, this could be something that the youth also could be given the platform to practice their skills, to practice their talent, to give in back to the community or to the nation.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Daniel.
You know, Africa, as she said, is the youngest population. We complain about the youth bulge, but I see sports as an opportunity for young people to actually get opportunities. I know many universities who give scholarships just because you can play. You can play football. So I see sports, you know, as an equalizer. I see sports opening many doors for young people. There are many people who cannot today get visas to go to some of those countries. But if you are a player, I can tell you, you will.
Yeah.
For example, if you are playing football and you're coming from a country that may not get visas to go like to America, I can tell you during World Cup, it will give you an opportunity to go to America, you know, whether they like it or not. You know, so the future of sports diplomacy is huge, and we just need to rise up and be able to, you know, to take advantage of it. And there are so many opportunities. For example, for young people, you know, if we have like these marathons, Nairobi Marathon, Stanchart Marathon, you know, all these marathons. And usually when these marathons are held, everyone is invited. Yeah. So it's not say that you cannot come, you know. So it's just you and your leg. Can you do it? So if you can do it, you know, you can actually be able to take part. So the future is huge. Yes. It's an opportunity. You don't need money to whatever. You don't need. You just need yourself and the will. And to quote Eliud Kipchoge, that we are our own limitation. But with sports, you can actually challenge yourself, that you can actually go an extra limit that you never imagined your body can take you.
Indeed, indeed. There you have it. That has been the conversation revolving around how sports diplomacy can influence peace, and especially through young people. That has been Daniel Juma Omondi, who is the Africa Regional Representative, Global Peace Foundation, and also lawyer Joy Gitao, a peace practitioner and consultant, and Simon Mikanipare, Executive Director, Sunrays Foundation. This is where this conversation ends. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mike Migwe. Entertainment Thursday now continues.